In 2026, BLACKPINK is no longer just a global music group sitting inside the luxury world. Each member has become a different kind of luxury asset with a different house, a different identity, and a different way of turning attention into value. Jisoo has Dior, Jennie has Chanel, Rose has Saint Laurent, and Lisa has Louis Vuitton. But here's where the comparison gets complicated. The biggest number doesn't automatically mean the biggest win. Earned media value isn't revenue. A viral fashion moment isn't the same thing as a year's worth of influence. And a luxury house can grow for dozens of reasons that have nothing to do with one celebrity. So if 4 of the world's biggest luxury names are betting on 4 members of BLACKPINK, which member is actually delivering the most? To find out, we have to look beyond follower counts and headlines and start with the member whose luxury influence is easiest to underestimate.
At number 4,
we have Lisa Manoban. That might sound surprising, because if there is one thing Lisa has proven again and again, it is that she can turn a fashion appearance into a global conversation. In 2026, Lisa continued expanding the fashion identity she had built beyond BLACKPINK. She remained closely connected to Louis Vuitton, including an appearance at the house's Fall/Winter 2026 show in Paris. Her relationship with the French Maison began with her appointment as a house ambassador in 2024, but by 2026, it had become part of her identity as a global fashion figure. Lisa entered the year at an important point in her career. BLACKPINK was back together. Her solo career was expanding internationally, and she was moving deeper into American entertainment and fashion. Vanity Fair's 2026 profile highlighted that expansion, including her acting work and her creative company Loud. So when Lisa arrived at the 2026 Met Gala, she wasn't simply another celebrity wearing an expensive dress. She was already carrying the weight of a global music career, a luxury partnership, and an increasingly independent personal brand. But there was a twist. Lisa did not wear Louis Vuitton to the Met Gala. Instead, she chose a custom Robert I creation built around the evening's costume art theme. The design incorporated 3D scans of Lisa's own arms and hands and drew inspiration from traditional Thai dance positions. She also served on the Met Gala's host committee for the first time. That choice revealed something important. Lisa's fashion identity could no longer be reduced to a single luxury house. Louis Vuitton could benefit from its relationship with her, while Lisa could step into another designer's world without losing the identity she had built for herself. That is a powerful form of personal branding. But it also creates a problem for our ranking. If we're asking which BLACKPINK member delivered the most for luxury in 2026, we can't simply count famous outfits or viral moments. Attention and commercial value are not the same thing. There is no credible public evidence showing that Lisa's 2026 Met Gala appearance directly generated a specific amount of revenue for a luxury company. One useful benchmark comes from an earlier event. Launch Metrics estimated that Lisa generated $21.3 million in media impact value at the 2025 Met Gala, making her the top-performing celebrity in its dataset for that event. But MIV measures estimated media impact. It is not revenue, profit, or money deposited into a company's bank account. So the number tells us something important about Lisa. She can generate enormous attention. What it doesn't tell us is how much of that attention became sales. And that's where Lisa's 2026 story becomes more complicated. A luxury appearance can travel far beyond the original event. It can move through news coverage, fashion publications, social platforms, and fan communities, keeping a moment alive long after the red carpet ends. Lisa is particularly effective at creating that kind of cultural momentum. Her value isn't only in the image itself. It's in what happens after the image enters the culture. A look becomes a headline. The headline spreads. Fans respond. Fashion accounts repost it. And a few minutes on a red carpet can become days of conversation. But here's why Lisa BLACKPINK lands at number 4. Not because she lacks influence. Not because her luxury relationships are weak. And certainly not because she failed in 2026. The issue is evidence. The publicly available 2026 record gives us strong evidence of Lisa Manoban's ability to create high-impact fashion moments, but less evidence of a sustained, directly comparable luxury performance across the entire year. Her advantage is momentum, reach, and cultural attention. And that makes her a dangerous competitor. Because celebrity value isn't always measured by how often someone appears. Sometimes it's measured by what happens when they do. Lisa may be the member most capable of turning a single fashion moment into a global event. But the next member has a different advantage. Her luxury power isn't built around one explosive moment. It's built around something harder to manufacture, a long-running relationship so closely tied to a luxury house that the celebrity and the brand have started to feel almost inseparable.
At number 3.
We have Jisoo. If Lisa represents the power of a fashion moment, Jisoo represents something different, the power of continuity. Kim Jisoo's relationship with Dior has been developing since she became a global ambassador for the house's fashion and beauty divisions in 2021. By 2026, the relationship had become part of her established identity rather than a new celebrity partnership. And that matters in luxury. A brand does not only need a face that can create one huge spike of attention. It also needs someone who can remain recognizable across seasons, campaigns, fashion shows, and products. Jisoo's strength is that consistency. Her 2026 appearances made that especially visible. She remained closely associated with Dior as Jonathan Anderson began shaping a new era for the house. She appeared at Dior's Spring-Summer 2026 show and later attended major Dior events as the relationship continued through the designer transition. Then came the moment that brought everything together, Jisoo's Met Gala debut. She arrived in a custom pink Dior gown covered in embroidered garden imagery and floral details, paired with vintage Cartier jewelry, including a Cartier collection necklace dating to 1905. Vogue noted how naturally the look connected with the evening's costume art theme, drawing on Dior's history and its relationship with art and nature. The image was strategically interesting. Dior controlled the dress. Cartier supplied the historic jewelry, and Jisoo BLACKPINK became the person connecting two major luxury houses in a single cultural moment. But the bigger story is what happened before and after that red carpet. Jisoo's luxury value is not built around one appearance. It comes from repeated association. Dior can place her at a fashion show, in beauty, and major events, and within the broader visual world of the house. That creates something a viral post cannot easily manufacture: familiarity. And 2026 also marked an important period in Jisoo's individual career. Her activities outside BLACKPINK continued to expand, strengthening the personal identity that sits behind the Dior partnership. That creates a useful feedback loop. The stronger Jisoo becomes as an individual celebrity, the more distinctive her presence can become for Dior. And the more consistently Dior places her inside its world, the more strongly luxury becomes part of her own public image. But this is where the ranking gets complicated. There is no reliable public 2026 figure showing exactly how much Dior revenue came from Jisoo, how many Lady Dior bags were sold because of her, or what portion of Dior's performance can be attributed to her. We should not pretend those numbers exist. What the evidence does show is depth. Jisoo has maintained a long-running relationship with Dior, appeared at key fashion moments, and made her Met Gala debut in a Dior look that directly connected her with the house's new creative direction. That gives her a different kind of influence from Lisa. She can make a fashion moment travel. Jisoo can make a luxury relationship last. And in an industry built on heritage, repetition, craftsmanship, and long-term brand memory, that consistency is valuable. But it is not enough to take the top spot. Because the next member has something Jisoo's story does not measure as clearly, an even more recognizable connection between one celebrity identity and one of the world's most iconic luxury houses.
At number 2.
We have Jennie. The question starts to change. It is no longer simply about who can attract attention. It is about who has turned that attention into a luxury identity that keeps working across campaigns, products, fashion weeks, and culture. Few celebrity-brand relationships are as recognizable as Jennie and Chanel. Their connection goes back nearly a decade, spanning fashion, jewelry, and major events. By 2026, Jennie was not simply wearing Chanel. She had become one of the faces most closely associated with the house. And 2026 added another chapter. In January, Jennie returned as the face of Chanel's Coco Crush campaign, extending a relationship that already connected her to one of the house's most recognizable fine jewelry lines. Jennie Kim has become particularly effective at representing that identity. She can move between Chanel's understated elegance and its more glamorous side without losing her own image. Then came the 2026 Met Gala. Jennie arrived in Chanel for her fourth appearance at the event, wearing a column gown covered with approximately 15,000 sequins and designed around the evening's costume art theme. Her first Met Gala appearance came in 2023 when she wore vintage Chanel. In 2024, she stepped outside the house for Alaya. She returned to Chanel in 2025, and in 2026, the house was again at the center of her look. The relationship is not simply about putting a Chanel logo in front of millions. Jennie has become a visual bridge between Chanel's heritage and younger audiences discovering luxury through K-pop and social media. Chanel does not need Jennie to prove that it is luxurious. What Jennie can do is make the house feel culturally current. Her personal brand gives her another advantage. Jennie is not completely defined by Chanel. Her independent fashion identity allows her to carry the association without disappearing inside it. That distinction also makes celebrity influence difficult to measure. We can count views, engagement, media coverage, and estimated media impact. But none automatically tells us how many people bought Chanel because they saw Jennie. So we can say the partnership creates visibility. We cannot honestly assign Jennie BLACKPINK a specific amount of Chanel revenue without evidence. What we can observe is the repeated investment. Chanel continues to place Jennie across campaigns and major fashion moments because the association fits the world the house wants to project. Then there is the BLACKPINK effect. In 2026, the group returned to the global spotlight while each member continued building an individual luxury identity, 4 members of the same group, each carrying a major fashion house. Jennie's advantage is how instantly understandable her connection with Chanel has become. You see Jennie in Chanel, and the association makes sense. That kind of mental shortcut is difficult to manufacture through traditional advertising. But number 2 does not mean Jennie wins every measurement. Her Chanel relationship is among the most recognizable of the 4, reinforced by her 2026 campaign activity and Met Gala appearance. Yet our question is broader. Which member combines luxury identity with the strongest overall evidence of cultural and commercial reach? That leaves 1 member. And the final comparison changes the question again. Because number 1 is not simply about having the biggest luxury house behind you. It is about whether the celebrity can carry that luxury identity beyond one house, one campaign, or one category.
And at number 1,
we have Rose. And the reason is not simply that she has Saint Laurent. By 2026, Rosé's brand portfolio had expanded across fashion, jewelry, beauty, and major global consumer brands. She had Saint Laurent in fashion, Tiffany & Company, in jewelry, YSL Beauty and Cosmetics, and partnerships beyond traditional luxury, including Levi's and Puma. That gives Rose something the other members do not quite have in the same combination: the ability to move across categories while maintaining a recognizable identity. Her relationship with Saint Laurent is central to that story. Rose became the house's global ambassador in 2020, and the relationship continued through multiple campaigns and fashion seasons. By 2026, she was not simply appearing in Saint Laurent clothing. She had become deeply associated with the house's visual identity, while also maintaining her position with YSL Beauty. Then came the 2026 Met Gala. Rose arrived in a black Saint Laurent gown designed by Anthony Vaccarello, finished with a dramatic bird brooch inspired by the house's history. The look connected the evening's costume art theme with references to earlier Saint Laurent collections and the Maison's artistic heritage. But Saint Laurent was only part of the picture. Rose also wore Tiffany & Company jewelry, including pieces from the Blue Book 2026 collection. Tiffany identifies Rose as a house ambassador, putting her inside another major luxury story at the same global fashion moment. That combination is what makes her case different. One appearance connected Saint Laurent fashion with Tiffany jewelry, while Rose herself remained the common denominator. And that is where personal brand becomes important. A celebrity can gain status from a luxury brand, but the relationship becomes more valuable when the celebrity can carry that identity from one category to another without losing their own identity. Roseanne Park appears to have developed that kind of portability, and 2026 provided more evidence. In February, she became a global ambassador for Levi's and appeared in the brands behind every original campaign around the Super Bowl. Then, in March, she fronted Puma's 8th Street campaign. Neither brand is a traditional luxury house. But that is precisely why they matter to this story. Rose can move from Saint Laurent to Tiffany, from beauty to sportswear, and from luxury fashion into mainstream American consumer culture without completely changing the image audiences recognize. That creates an unusual commercial profile. Fashion, jewelry, beauty, sportswear, American pop culture, K-pop, and her solo music career. These worlds do not automatically create sales for one another. But together, they demonstrate something important: sustained demand for Rosé's image across very different commercial environments. And we still have to draw a line around what the evidence cannot prove. There is no credible public figure showing that Rose personally generated a specific dollar amount of Saint Laurent or Tiffany revenue in 2026. We cannot turn brand partnerships into a personal sales number. What we can observe is the breadth and consistency of the brands willing to build campaigns around her. And then there is the human element. Rosé's luxury identity works partly because it feels compatible with the person audiences already recognize. Her minimalist styling, elegant silhouettes, and distinctive fashion image give brands something they can work with rather than completely manufacture from scratch. That matters. The strongest celebrity partnerships often do not feel like an advertisement first. They feel like an extension of the celebrity. Saint Laurent can put Rose BLACKPINK in a black gown and it feels natural. Tiffany can place its jewelry on her and the image still feels coherent. YSL Beauty can build a campaign around her without changing the identity audiences already know. Even outside luxury, that same identity remains recognizable. And that is ultimately why Rose takes number one in this investigation. Lisa demonstrated extraordinary moment-making power. Jisoo built remarkable continuity with Dior. Jennie created one of the most recognizable celebrity and luxury associations through Chanel. But Rose combines brand depth, category breadth, cultural reach, and personal identity in a way that gives her the strongest overall case. That does not mean she generated the most revenue. We do not have evidence to make that claim. It means that, based on the evidence we can actually measure, Rose has built something broader, a personal brand that luxury and global consumer companies can repeatedly place into different worlds without losing its identity. And in 2026, that may be the most valuable luxury asset of all. In my view, BLACKPINK's real advantage isn't just the brands they represent, it's how differently each member turns luxury partnerships into global influence. So, after looking at all four members, the answer is not as simple as choosing the biggest name or the biggest number. Lisa has the power to turn a single fashion moment into a global event. Jisoo has built the kind of long-term relationship luxury houses value. Jennie has created one of the strongest celebrity connections with an iconic fashion house. And Rose has built something broader, a personal brand that can move across luxury, beauty, jewelry, fashion, and global consumer culture without losing its identity. That is what makes this comparison so interesting. Because BLACKPINK's luxury power isn't coming from one member alone. It's coming from four completely different forms of influence. And in 2026, that may be their biggest advantage of all. But what do you think? Did Rose really deserve the number one spot, or would you rank Lisa, Jisoo, or Jennie higher? Drop your ranking in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe for more deep dives into BLACKPINK, K-pop, celebrity influence, and the business behind the biggest names in entertainment.